Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into this explainer covering one of the most fascinating and honestly deeply tragic pieces of lore hidden away out there in the stars. We're looking at the history of a species that was literally meant to be the absolute pinnacle of evolution, but instead, well, they became a buried secret. I'm talking, of course, about the Wolflings.
Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to imagine, just for a second, standing face to face with a creature that is, quite frankly, an absolute nightmare made flesh. We're talking about a being easily 8 feet tall, a towering, heavily muscled humanoid covered in this thick, golden fur, with a distinctly lupine, wolf-like head. It's got massive paws, long, jagged claws, and jaws just packed with dirty yellow teeth. But you know what the most terrifying part is? It's the eyes. They aren't mindless, not at all. They are fiercely intelligent and, according to the source material, almost overpoweringly ferocious. You are looking at the ultimate predator, a genetically designed killing machine.
Now, to truly wrap our heads around where this incredible creature comes from, we have to ground ourselves in the epic sci-fi universe of Simon R. Green's Deathstalker series. This is a massive, sprawling literary universe defined by galactic empires, tyrannical rulers, legendary heroes, and these forgotten fringe worlds hiding some seriously dark secrets. So in this explainer, we're unpacking the story of one specific legendary species created by that very empire, and, as you'll see, the incredibly heavy price of their creation.
Section 1. The Perfect Killing Machine.
To find the origins of these creatures, we actually have to look back to a lost planet originally known as Hayden. But before it was called Hayden, and long before it was swallowed up by the absolute darkness of a region in space known as the Dark Void, it had another name. It was the Wolfling world. This is where the Empire's scientists decided they wanted the ultimate shock troops. As one character puts it, they used a pinch of man, a pinch of wolf, and a few special ingredients. And this brilliantly illustrates the terrifyingly perfect genetically engineered traits they ended up with. The mix was flawless. The Wolflings were physically imposing, blindingly fast, fiercely strong, and just brutally savage. But the scientists actually went a step further. They unlocked the secret to eternal life. That's right, the Wolflings were theoretically immortal. They were literally an unparalleled leap in human evolution.
Which naturally brings us to a massive, glaring contradiction. I really want you to think about this for a second. If the Empire successfully engineered an army of unbeatable, immortal super soldiers, why aren't they ruling the galaxy? Why did the Wolflings become nothing more than a myth, like some ghost story whispered about on the edge of the Dark Void? So what went wrong? Section 2. The Empire's Bloody Betrayal.
Well, the short answer to what went wrong is that nothing went wrong with the Wolflings themselves. Actually, scratch that. They performed exactly as designed. It was the human scientists who fundamentally broke. You see, the Empire's creators gave the Wolflings one trait that ultimately doomed them, and that was superior intelligence. The scientists suddenly realized that their new living weapons weren't just stronger and faster, they were vastly smarter than their human masters, and panic set in. The Empire, terrified of the very future they had just engineered, decided to scrap the whole project. But, you don't just fire immortal super soldiers. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is tracing how this tragedy played out. The Imperial forces lured the Wolflings to an arranged meeting under false pretenses, and then they opened fire from an ambush. The Wolflings, of course, fought back viciously. The survivors retreated into the planet's forests, which the Empire then deliberately set ablaze, hunting them down one by one until they were absolutely certain the entire species was extinct.
The contrast here really captures the sheer tragedy of the whole situation. From the Empire's perspective, the Wolflings were just dangerous tools. The second the tool became a little too complex to control, they opted for full-on genocide out of pure, unadulterated fear. But the Wolflings' reality, it was completely different. They weren't just mindless beasts. Their minds just worked differently than ours. They knew they had a future and a potential that humanity could literally never hope to match. They were a brilliant new species, completely snuffed out simply because their very existence intimidated their creators.
Section 3. Wolf, the Last Survivor.
So the Empire thought they had wiped out every single Wolfling. They eventually packed up their ships, patted themselves on the back, and left that burning world behind. But they missed one. The best of the best, and definitely the most cunning of them all. He evaded every single trap, survived those burning forests, and simply went underground. His name is Wolf. He is the last of his slaughtered kind. For over 900 years, he waited alone in the dark depths of the Wolfling world, serving as this massive, 8-foot-tall guardian of an ancient, mysterious structure called the Madness Maze, and protecting an apocalyptic weapon known as the Dark Void device.
When modern characters like Owen Deathstalker finally stumble across him, they are absolutely paralyzed by fear. Just standing there, Wolf radiates this uncontrollable savage energy with his barrel chest and ferocious eyes. But what makes this encounter so incredibly brilliant is how it completely subverts all your expectations. When Wolf recognizes a familiar face, the legendary Giles Deathstalker, who he actually knew centuries ago, the terrifying beast breaks into this wide, toothy grin. He bounds forward with sudden grace and pulls the human into a massive, warm, furry hug. He even jokes about whether or not he should eat Giles's companions, which, looking at him, is a joke you'd definitely laugh nervously at, right? It's just a wonderful moment that shows the deep capacity for friendship and loyalty inside this so-called killing machine.
Section 4. The Hall of the Fallen. But beneath that warm greeting, there lies centuries of profound, lingering grief. Wolf invites the travelers to see what remains of his race, leading them to a place that carries an immense, almost suffocating emotional weight. Wolf brings them into this massive underground chamber and tells them, "I am the last of the Wolflings, and I did not want my race to be forgotten. It is a sad and bitter honor to be the last of one's kind, and it carries heavy responsibilities." It's just a heartbreaking piece of dialogue. It completely strips away that initial image of the mindless monster.
After the Empire left his people to rot in the ashes of the burning forests, Wolf didn't just hide. Because he had the gift, or, perhaps the curse of immortality, and plenty of time, he spent untold years hand-building a massive tomb. So the crucial point is really the emotional weight of this. An immortal super soldier walked through the devastation, picked up the bodies of his slaughtered brothers and sisters one by one, and carried them down into the dark to give them a proper resting place so they wouldn't be erased by history. The Hall of the Fallen is a monument to a species that was literally too perfect for the universe to allow to exist.
Section 5. A final, fateful message.
But the story of the Wolfling doesn't just end quietly in an underground tomb. The legacy of Wolfing and his race echoes all the way to the very climax of the entire Deathstalker saga. At the end of it all, when humanity is facing ultimate destruction, a crucial message needs to be delivered from Owen Deathstalker himself. But Owen can't deliver it. Instead, a shape-changing alien steps forward to hand over Owen's final handwritten scroll. And out of all the forms this alien could have chosen to command the absolute attention and respect of everyone in the room, it chooses to take the form of the Wolfling, big, hairy, and impossibly impressive. Even after the species was betrayed and nearly erased from history, the visual legacy of the Wolfling endured to the very end of the universe as a symbol of undeniable power and trusted authority.
The tragedy of the Wolflings is a profound commentary on fear and hubris. They were created to be perfect, and they absolutely were, but their creators just couldn't handle being surpassed. It really leaves us to wonder about our own nature. If we were to engineer something truly superior to ourselves, something smarter, faster, and boundless in its potential, would we have the grace to step aside? Or would we, too, destroy a perfect creation simply because its immense potential terrified us? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this deep dive into the lost lore of the Wolflings has left you eager to uncover even more hidden gems out there in the sci-fi universe. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.